Good morning and happy Mindset Monday. I know a lot of you are on spring break. You may be at the beach, you may be traveling. Have a great time. And hopefully, you can think about these concepts and these ideas, these principles, strategies, and techniques when dealing with mindset and moving forward with your spiritual part and your mindset part of your health and wellness. So today I want to talk about, I'm going to do a little bit of drawing, so don't make fun of me, any art teachers and or artists in the membership right now. I was at Ohio University years ago before I went to Ohio State, and at Ohio University was sitting in a class and a professor was ready to talk. And I know some of you have heard this story, but this is the version I got back in the late 80s. So he talked about having, there's going to be an exam, a test coming up later in the week in just a couple days. So it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday. It was coming up on a Friday. And some people were complaining, especially some athletes in the room, saying, look, I've got this and this going on the weekend. And so it's really not a good time. There was a lot of groans and moans about this test coming up. So he immediately pulled out a jar. Now this was an empty glass jar. That's my jar. I know it's not perfect, but here's my jar. Okay. And then he proceeded, looking at us, he proceeded to put big, like stones or blocks. We're going to call them rocks. Okay. And he put these rocks inside the jar. Okay. So here are the rocks. Okay, and then he asked the class, is the jar full? And of course, several of us were like, yeah, the jar is full. He said, okay, cool. So then he reaches under the podium and he pulls out smaller, like little pebbles. These were more round rocks. May have even been like some marble looking things. Probably were marbles. Pulled out some marbles and he filled in the spaces that were left. Between the big rocks, he put these marbles in. Says the jar full now. And everybody's like, okay, now it's full. Then he reaches under the podium and he puts, kind of like pours it through his hands, let it sift through his hands, sand. And fills in the remaining spaces with the squigglies or the sand. Is the jar full now? Well, some of us were catching on at this point and said, we don't know. He took a glass of water and poured the water into the jar. And as he kept pouring, it spilled. That's the little lines going out. The water spilled out over the jar. He says, is the jar full now? Well, yes, it's full now. So everybody says, yes. He says, exactly. So what was the point of my demonstration? Now, you know how in class, there's always one kid, usually a female, because we all know females are smarter. So female in the class sitting in the front row says, Professor, what you're trying to say is no matter how busy we are with athletics, extracurricular, other classes, because some people were saying, we got 3 or 4 tests that same day. No matter how busy we are, if it's important enough to us, we will always find a way to fit it in our busy schedule. So no matter how busy our schedule looks, we're able to fit it in. Hence, you keep trying stuff until it eventually spilled over with water. He said, good point. That's not what I'm looking for. It's not the answer. Which, of course, at that point, the rest of us are high-fiving, each other because we were glad she missed a question, finally. She always got all the questions right and answered everything right. So anyway, here was his point to the story. What if I would have started with the water? So he filled the jar with water or sand. So he fills the jar with sand. Would he have been able to get the big rocks or the marbles or the smaller rocks in the jar? No, there's no place for them. If you'd fill it with water, as soon as you put a rock in, as soon as you put sand in, it would overflow immediately. Okay, so here was the point. The big rocks equal what's most important, or what I had you guys write down as your top values. So the big rocks equal what's important or values. So you need to start with those. So the jar represents your time in a day. Okay? If you start with big rocks, okay, versus The water or the sand, let's just call it the sand, equals less important values. Even though it's a value, it's less important, or less important things to do. So less important is the little, let's come over here, the sand. So if I started with sand, I got no place for the important or the big rock. So if something's a big rock to you, it needs to go in first, or make sure it gets in there before the less important or the sand. I was at Ohio University as a strength coach, and I was the first person that the recruits, when they brought a recruit in to play basketball, for example, I was the first one they talked to, and I gave them this talk. And then I had them write out, well, give me your big rocks, like I had you guys do your values. What are your top 5? They usually came down to faith, family, school, sports, and friends. They were basketball players at the time, so faith, family, school, sports, and friends. So I said, fantastic. So let's say it's a Wednesday. I said, today is Wednesday. Faith is your number 1 value. Yes, it is, coach. What'd you do today for your faith? Cricket. Well, today's Wednesday or it's Thursday. I don't go to church till Sunday. So you didn't do anything today to improve or enhance your faith. Not today. It's Wednesday. It's Thursday. Whatever it was. Okay, let's mark that one out, because that's not a big rock. That's not a value because you didn't fit it in. You didn't put it in. Well, what did you do today? Well, I got up. I've taken a nap. I've played some video games. I've talked to my friends. Well, if those are sand activities and you put those in your jar, you don't have time for the big rocks. If school, what'd you do for your schoolwork? Let's say they're there now, they're playing, and I'm asking them the same thing. Well, I didn't do my homework. Well, then it's not a big rock. So if you're trying to enhance, improve, have less stress, by the way, guys, this is where it comes down to. So for us, maybe it's faith. It might be our health and wellness. It might be family. Okay, it might be work. Okay, whatever your values might be, if you're not getting them in your day, which is why we talked about using your values to get better results, a way to do that is making sure you're getting it in. Okay, if a lesser value is watching Netflix at night, okay, or playing video games, or just, sitting around, doing whatever it is that's not as important, that's not going to get you where you want to be to get better results. If you're putting that in your jar first, it's going to show in your results. In other words, you have to get the big rocks in. Dissonance happens when we decide, well, family is a big deal to me, but I'm not making the effort. Health is a big deal to me, but I'm not looking at what I eat. I'm not maybe doing intermittent fasting. I'm not doing my exercise sessions. So you think it's a big rock, but it's not. Therein lies somewhere in that brain of yours. Okay, it's gonna say, man, there's dissonance, means there's a disconnect. Why am I having stress? Why do I not feel as good? Why am I frustrated? Why am I angry? Why am I tired? Because you are fatigued with the stress and the overwhelm and the dissonance of, I have these values, but I'm not fitting them in my day. I'm not fitting in my jar, my time. So make sure they're getting in, even though you're going to try to fit everything in. That's great. The big rocks better get in there, where everything else is not going to go. So in my physical therapy world, and what I'm trying to teach you guys too as part of our movement and our mobility, gravity, ground reaction, 3 planes of motion, load and unload, moving the body like we're designed to move. I also talk to patients about nutrition, about breathing, about sleep, which we'll get into probably this week. Those are my values that I have to get in. When you come in for therapy, I'm looking at 3 planes of motion. I'm looking at decreasing your pain. I'm listening to you. I'm working on mindset. Those are big rocks. If I just have you come in and sit you on a bike, Have you come in, oh, do those same exercises you're always doing over in the corner and not looking at my big rocks, I'm not going to get the results I want. So whatever your values are that you've been working on, right, to enhance your thoughts and drive your thoughts to get different results, whatever those big rocks are, make sure you're getting them in. Okay? Those are the successful athletes we dealt with too, and the ones we decided to recruit. Because by the way, if their big rocks didn't include school and sports, we got a problem. Because sometimes, especially with the female athletes, it might have been a boyfriend, it might have been only friends, hanging out, playing on their phone, Snapchat, or whatever they were into, TikTok. Okay? Not good. Not a good start. Anyway, all those things are fine. If you want to look at reels all day long, but make sure you got your big rocks in. So that comes now back to blocking. Start with the big values, the big value items, the big rocks in your blocking through your day. Should be your first or second block if that's how you're going to get through the day, because if it doesn't get done right away, you can work on it through the day, number one. And make sure you're getting it in, which is your highest value, which now you have less stress. Now you feel a sense of accomplishment to help with your health and wellness. So keep working on your values or your big rocks. They will help drive your thoughts to get better results. Make sure they're getting in your time, your day, your jar. This jar represents your time, represents your day. Make sure you're getting it in first, or they're in there before all those other activities start taking up too much of your time and your day for less stress, okay, which equals less pain, which helps you move better and feel better and interact with your world so that you can give back, okay, which we'll talk about as well. You're giving back and you're giving as a person in this conscious connection through the universe, okay, making this world a better place for yourself and for others around you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. Happy Monday. Those on vacation, have a great time. I'm a little jealous. I'm not kidding, or not even lying about that. So have fun. That I really mean. And we'll talk to you tomorrow with some nutrition tips, fueling tips. Have a great day.